Among the four great postures, the four major postures of walking, standing, sitting, and lying down, Sayadaw spoke yesterday about how to observe when standing, how one, prior to the standing, one observes every lifting, every moving, every placing, applying effort and accurate aim. Every step that one makes, there should be the factors of observation present. And when one comes to the end of the walking path, Sayadaw explained how to observe the standing posture. But he omitted to say how one has to turn around. After reaching the end, one then has to observe the body turning around as it goes to face the other direction and go back along the walking path. In the turning, the entire body is involved in the turning. So it's important to put one's attention on the entire body when one does the turning. Nowadays, yogis don't do the walking meditation very well, and so Sayadaw has to explain a lot about it. When the concentration developed in the walking meditation is not good, then it doesn't bring benefit to the sitting meditation. So as we go from walking to sitting, we walk to our sitting place. And there are three grades of walking that Sayadaw mentioned. Observing left step, right step, or lifting, placing, two parts, or observing lifting, moving, and placing. Whichever level of walking we are doing, when we go back to our place, we observe carefully. And when we get to our sitting place, we come to a standing posture again and observe the standing. And then one needs to observe the process of going from the standing posture to the sitting down posture. Bit by bit, inch by inch, the whole body sits down. So one has to observe this bit by bit. Not sit down just all of a sudden. One has to sit down gradually, like a sick person would do. And if one observes in this way, then one will come to understand the true nature which is involved in the process of going from standing to sitting. And when one is sitting down, all the adjustments that one needs to make to one's posture until one is completely seated. For example, even adjusting one's shawl if one's cold, moving one's hands so that they're in position. All these things have to be observed. And when there's no more movement that one needs to make, one's posture is in the sitting posture and still, then as usual one puts one's attention on the abdomen to observe the rising and the falling. And when this becomes easy, when this exercise that we are doing becomes easy, then the teacher has to give the student something else to make it a little bit harder. And so sometimes the teachers tell the yogis to observe the sitting posture, the entire body sitting. And the sitting posture itself is a very large area. So sometimes the teachers add a further point to observe, which is the touching point. A touching point it should be something that is quite obvious. The teachers will instruct the yogi how to do it. It could be the buttocks or some other place like the hands touching that is very obvious. And when it becomes easy to observe these additional points as well as rising and falling, then the teacher may instruct the yogi to observe more and more touch points all over the body. So the meditation teacher has to see the yogi's situation and give the guidance as to what to do. And the yogi, on their part, should do as instructed. So in doing this, one needs to work suitably. During the sitting, one doesn't have to make a lot of effort to observe in the sitting, but in walking, there's a lot of effort involved, because not only does one have to observe the lifting on time, the moving, the placing, one has to catch these movements at the moment they occur. In addition, one has to make the physical effort to do the movements. So, making the effort to do the movements and to observe them as well. Therefore, there's 2 levels of effort involved in the walking. When one sits, there's the intention to sit down, and then one sits down, and then that's it. There's no special need to keep on making effort to maintain the sitting posture. But in walking, there are these 2 levels of effort involved. And it's very important to make the effort involved in walking good. As now, doing the work of observing every arising object in one's being, we are working to create the qualities of faith, effort, sati, samadhi, and panya, to bring them into being when they are not yet there, and to make these powers keen, strong, and clear. There are 9 causes, and Sayadaw started to speak about these 9 causes for making the ruling powers keen and strong. The first of these is to understand and to believe that in our being, all the things that arise in our being, they arise and pass away continually. The mind and matter that is in us. So we have to understand and accept this from the start, that this is the case. And in doing the practice of observing what is in our being, we have to do this practice with respect. And also we have to do the practice with an effort to make one observation and another continuous, so that our effort to observe is constant. And the 4th cause of these 9 causes for making the ruling faculties keen is to work suitably. However, Sayadaw wants to speak more about the walking meditation, to explain the benefits that one gains by doing it the way it needs to be done. And so for the moment, Sayadaw is going to leave aside the topic of suitability, working suitability, and explain that when one observes the walking meditation carefully, then one gains 5 benefits. And the first of these is adhana kamo hoti, that one becomes able to undertake long journeys. When people go somewhere on foot, if one is used to doing walking meditation, then one has the stamina to travel without being tired. And this is a very practical thing. Sayadaw explained that in the past he was able to walk around quite a lot walk around this monastery without being tired. It was quite easy. And now he's not able to do this. He no longer has the practice or the custom of walking a lot. That's been interrupted. So for him, it's no longer possible to walk around as he used to. But when one has the habit of doing walking meditation and doing it carefully, then when one needs to go on a trip, when one needs to walk someplace, then one has the stamina to do so, to go on a long trip. The second benefit gained from doing the walking meditation carefully is padhana kamohoti, that when one needs to make mental and physical effort to do something, one is able to do so. One is able to do work that involves making effort, doing the work quickly, doing the work ardently. This type of work is called padhana. And one is able to do this type of task because doing the walking meditation, every lifting, every moving, every placing, involves ordinary effort to make the movements, as well as the effort to observe. And in this way, it gives us the ability to make concerted effort, which is padhana. Our ability to do this becomes strong. So these are the first two benefits that the Buddha described as coming from doing walking meditation. Asitang kaitang pitang saitang parinamang gacchati. Is said the fourth benefit is that whatever one eats, asitang, kaitang is what one chews, pitang is what we drink, kaitang, saitang, what things that are licked, things that are chewed, all the things that we eat every day. They can be digested well if we do walking meditation. If after we eat, we just stay still, then our food won't digest well. So it's good to do walking after one eats. The movement helps us to digest the food. And it's said that if one's bowels are good, then one's head will also be good, that it affects the mind to have good digestion. In the olden days, the monks would ordain because they wanted to gain liberation from the suffering of samsara. So after eating their midday meal, they wouldn't go lie on their bed and rest. They would do walking meditation. And this practice makes effort very good. To make ordinary movements, the ordinary movements of lifting, of moving and placing, one needs to make regular effort, ordinary effort, and apply awareness in an ordinary way. And then the mind will fall collectedly on that object, just when we do it in an ordinary way. And when we observe with the method of satipatthana, we try to observe the movements, lifting and moving and placing, from the very start to the finish. We apply ardent effort so as not to forget the object, so that we don't lose sight of the object. And the mind falls collectedly on the object. This is the samadhi that comes from developing the mind, bhavana samadhi. So just as in the lifting, ordinary samadhi is involved, so there is also the effort involved of observing the object making our observation continuous. One tries to observe not only the lifting, but then the moving, the placing. And in each part, the mind falls collectively on the object. So this samadhi that is gained during walking is called Singamadikato samadhi. One gains samadhi during the walking meditation. So just by doing ordinary movements, one has ordinary samadhi. But when we do them with developing observation also, we gain bhavana samadhi, the samadhi from bhavana. And when we try to make our observation of each movement, every lifting, every moving, every placing, to make them occur without a gap, so that our observation is constant, then there is power. Our observation becomes powerful. So in just one moment of observation, the power is not very great. But when we make the effort to observe them again and again without a gap, so when our observation is constant, then amazing power is developed. So one develops Khanika Samadhi during the walking meditation. And this concentration, it is said, Siratitiko Hoti, that it is long-lasting, it is strong, it doesn't fade easily. Yogis who practice carefully are able to, and do the walking meditation carefully, can develop good samadhi, and their knowledge is clear. And therefore Sayadaw is urging the yogis as a Dhamma relative to do the walking meditation regularly. Speaking not as a teacher on high, but as your relative who wants you to gain this. The place where the yogis are practicing now is a place that is free enough of the sounds of people. It's enough for concentration and knowledge to arise. So this place is a suitable place. And Gochara Sapaya, that means that one shouldn't go to places where kilesas are likely to arise. And as this center is a place where good people come, it doesn't have anything going on here that is likely to arouse kilesas. So one can say that Gochara Sapaya, the suitability of resort, is present. And there's also Basa Sapaya, that means suitable speech. Dhamma friends give Dhamma talks and meet with the yogis to discuss the practice and interviews. So there's giving of suitable speech during the retreat. So this also is present, it can't be denied. And Sayadaw started also to speak about suitability of food, Bhojana Sapaya, that although it's not what we're used to, but it's enough for practice. And then there is Pogala Sapaya, suitability of persons, people. So here, most of us are foreigners. There are some people from Myanmar. And all of us, our language, our culture, our backgrounds are different. But we all come here to practice the Dhamma. So we're not enemies. We can say Kalyana Metta, good spiritual friends, Dhamma friends. So the suitability of person is present. And according to the teaching of the Buddha, as explained by the late Most Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw, the teachers are here to give what is needed to fill in the gaps, to provide what is necessary. And there are also many people involved in fulfilling what is necessary, and these people are suitable. It's very important to have pugala sapaya, or suitability of person. And the Buddha said that, in English this is mostly explained as, if one has a suitability of person, if one has a good friend, then 100% of the practice can be accomplished because of having suitable friends. And there is vasa sapaya, the suitability of speech. The Buddha himself practiced and eliminated all the kilesas. The method that is taught is what he taught. There's nothing added to it as the teachers teach here. And the interview teachers, they discuss with the yogis. They don't interrogate the yogis. They discuss the practice with the yogis. And there are the Dhamma talks. So there's suitable encouragement by way of speech. And so that this is not lacking, Sayadaw and the others make special effort. So in order for there to be the suitability of speech, vasa sapaya, there needs to be pugala sapaya, the suitability of person. And Sayadaw and the other teachers are trying their best to be fulfilled with the qualities of a good spiritual friend. And Sayadaw trusts that this is the case. With regard to food, suitability of food, although the food is not what the yogis may be used to eating, however, it is food that gives enough nourishment in order to do the practice. And therefore, one can say that suitability of food is present. Bhojana sapaya. This forest center is not too cold for our health. In Myanmar, the winter is not very cold, so it's not enough to affect our health, and it's also not too hot. So if one compares this with places that are very cold or places that are very hot, one can say that the weather here is quite favorable. So one has suitability of weather, uru sapaya. Last of all, there is suitability of posture, uriya peta sapaya. Here we don't do only walking. We don't do only standing meditation. We don't do only sitting meditation. We don't do only lying meditation. And we don't deliberately change from one posture to another. One has to have a balance of posture. So we have time in the schedule for each type of meditation, for walking meditation, there's sitting, moments of standing and lying down. So it is important to have a balance of postures, and although the meditation teacher can point this out, the yogis have the responsibility to maintain a suitable balance of posture. So there are 7 things that need to be suitable. Sayadaw has just spoken about 7 things that need to be suitable in order for the ruling powers of faith, effort, sati, samadhi, and panya to become keen, to become strong, and to become clear. These 7 types of suitability are the 4th causes for this to happen. And in this regard, one tries to do what is necessary to make things suitable. The teacher has the responsibility to point things out to the yogis. And particularly when the yogis come to report, to discuss their practice, the teacher has to make adjustments suitably. The teacher has to give feedback to the yogi. And Sayadaw believes that the instructions that are being given during the interviews are suitable. So if the first 4 causes of these 9 causes for the ruling powers to become keen, if these first 4 causes are present, then it's very satisfying. So Sayadaw hopes that all of you may try to develop the ruling powers of faith, sati, samadhi, faith, effort, sati, samadhi, and wisdom, to work to develop them, so that for one's entire life, one will gain the ability to master oneself. So that's all for today.